Let's jump right into this explainer because right now, scammers are actively upgrading their tactics to hijack your Medicare, your money, and honestly, your entire identity in 2026. You know how it gets during Medicare enrollment periods, right? The noise is just absolutely deafening. The endless calls, the texts blowing up your phone, the random knocks on your front door, it's total chaos. And today, we're going to expose exactly how highly organized criminal groups hide right inside all that noise. We're unpacking their exact playbook, step by step, so you can spot these traps from a mile away and shut them down before they cost you a single dime.
The stakes here are just incredibly high. $7.7 billion. Let that sink in for a second. According to some pretty shocking 2025 data straight from the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, the IC3, victims aged 60 and older lost over $7.7 billion to cyber-enabled fraud. That is a massive 37% jump from just the year before. We're not talking about a couple of random bad apples making annoying nuisance calls from a basement. No, this is a massive industrialized criminal enterprise, and it is heavily targeting older adults.
When you break the numbers down, the disproportionate focus on seniors is glaring. The 60-plus demographic is being targeted so relentlessly that they're losing more than double what the 50 to 59 age group loses. And the real tragedy? It's the individual impact. The average loss for a victim over 60 is north of $38,000. And for over 12,000 of those elderly victims, they lost over $100,000 each. It's truly heartbreaking. These aren't just cold statistics on a page. We're talking about entire retirement savings and critical lifelines literally being wiped out overnight.
These scammers are ruthless. They literally weaponize the natural complexity of healthcare to pull off what the Department of Justice officially categorizes as elder fraud. The DOJ defines this as an intentional act causing financial exploitation and harm to an older adult. And because Medicare rules and coverages are constantly shifting, fraudsters use that natural, totally understandable confusion to their advantage. They slip right past our normal defenses by sounding incredibly helpful, super urgent, or highly official.
Section 1. The 5 Ps of Scams. Your absolute best shield.
So, here's the secret. Almost every single scam out there, no matter how sophisticated it sounds on the surface, relies on this exact same sequence. It's a pattern identified by Medicare expert Matt Ferret called the 5 Ps. First, they pretend. They pretend to be official, maybe claiming they're calling from the Medicare Enrollment Department, which, by the way, absolutely does not exist. Second, they invent a problem. They'll tell you your coverage is about to expire. Or, third, they dangle a prize, like a free DNA kit or some amazing grocery benefit. Fourth, they apply extreme pressure, demanding you act before midnight or else. And finally, the 5th P, they push you to pay. Seriously, put a sticky note right next to your phone with these 5 Ps. If you hear any of them on a call, just hang up the phone immediately.
Now here's a really crucial point. That final step, payment, it doesn't always mean cash. Sure, they might demand you run down to the local ATM and buy cryptocurrency or a stack of gift cards, which, let's be honest, is a massive flashing red flag. But more often, these scammers are desperately trying to steal your actual Medicare number and your banking details. Why? Because the second they get your Medicare number, they can trigger massive false billing under your name for services you never even received. That drains the whole system and could seriously complicate your ability to get the actual medical care you need down the road.
Section 2. New 2026 Scam Tactics. Terrifying upgrades.
You've got to hear about the terrifying new upgrades these criminals have deployed for 2026, because the technology is getting so much better at bypassing our natural skepticism. Scammers are now actively using AI voice cloning, and it is truly chilling. They can take just a tiny 3-second audio snippet of someone from social media and use AI to sound exactly like your doctor, or even a grandchild crying out that they're in an emergency. It sounds completely real. So if you get a frantic call from an unknown number and you hear a familiar voice begging for money or asking for your Medicare number, stop. Hang up. Then call that person or office right back using a trusted number you already have saved just to verify the story.
On top of the high-tech stuff, fraudsters are heavily leaning on 2 very specific, very sneaky lies right now. First up, the fake chip card. They'll call claiming your old Medicare card is suddenly invalid and you need their new chip card, all just to steal your current number. Let me be 100% clear on this. There is no new Medicare chip card. 0. Second, they'll dangle free groceries or maybe free home cleaning services, right? But it's a trap to trick you into signing paperwork. Buried in that fine print are bogus hospice enrollment forms. If you sign those, you unknowingly trigger massive false billing, and you could literally lose access to your regular day-to-day medical care. It's devious.
Section 3.
Real Medicare versus scams. Know the rules.
The absolute best way to beat these guys is to actually know the real rules, because once you do, the scams stick out like a sore thumb. Take what the New York Statewide Senior Action Council is calling the January Fraud of the Month. For 2026, the Medicare Part D donut hole has been totally eliminated. Real legitimate Medicare now automatically caps your out-of-pocket prescription costs at $2,100 for the year. Automatically, once you hit it, you're done paying for covered drugs. But scammers, they're calling folks up and demanding an upfront processing fee just to unlock this new cap. Listen to me, Real Medicare will never, ever ask you to pay an upfront fee to access your legal benefits.
We also need to talk about that murky gray zone between a slightly pushy salesperson and an absolute outright fraudster. A legitimate professional agent is actually going to protect you. They'll use a scope of appointment form, which is a strict document defining exactly what you're agreeing to talk about, and they will always give you plenty of time to think it over. Scammers operate entirely differently. They rely on high-pressure, manufactured urgency, screaming that you only have 10 minutes to decide before you lose your benefits forever. Plus, they love uninvited door-knocking, which, by the way, is strictly off-limits for Medicare Advantage and Part D plans unless you specifically invited them over.
Section 4. Take action and report. Your defense playbook.
Okay, so what happens if you accidentally engage with one of these people? First rule, do not panic. Speed is your absolute best defense here. If you realize you've taken the bait, grab a pen immediately. Write down every single detail you can remember. The date, the exact time, the phone number, whatever names they used, and exactly what they said. Next, call your Medicare plan's member services right away and demand a claims audit for recent dates. That'll catch any of that false billing we talked about. Then, freeze your bank and credit cards and report the whole thing straight to 1-800-MEDICARE. But honestly, the most important step? Tell someone you trust. Do not stay silent, because your silence is exactly what the scammers are counting on.
We want to get you out of the chaos of a scam and straight into the safety of official help. To do that, you absolutely must report these crimes. You know, the Department of Justice and the FBI actually have entire divisions dedicated solely to this kind of fraud, specifically operating through the Internet Crime Complaint Center, the IC3. Their one and only mission is to hunt these criminals down. But here's the catch. They can't do it without you. They need you to provide the missing puzzle pieces.
And to make reporting incredibly easy, you can literally pull out your smartphone right now and scan the official QR code to access the IC3 reporting system over at ic3.gov. Or, hey, if you're more comfortable actually speaking to a human being, the DOJ runs the National Elder Fraud Hotline at 1-833-FRAUD-11. Remember to hang on to any original records you have, emails, weird receipts, phone logs. That gives these federal agencies the exact intelligence they need to map out the threat and shut these networks down for good. Before we wrap up, I really want to anchor this explainer with a vital piece of reassurance. If you do happen to fall for one of these traps, there is absolutely zero shame in it. None. Getting hit doesn't mean you're gullible, and it definitely doesn't mean you're losing your edge. What it means is that these scammers are incredibly sophisticated, well-funded, full-time criminals who use high-tech tools and deep psychological warfare to manipulate human nature. They are pros. What truly matters isn't that you got tricked, it's how quickly and decisively you act once you realize what's actually happening.
So, now you've got the entire playbook in your hands. The real question is, how are you going to put it to work? Will you use the 5 Ps to protect your identity, safeguard your hard-earned finances, and confidently shut down the very next scammer who dares to ring your phone? Stay alert out there. Stay incredibly structured in your defense, and whatever you do, keep total control of your Medicare journey.